Greetings and God bless. So, a lot of people who've been looking into the Tartarian information, one of the topics is what year is this? Um, you know, Along with history the mainstream history is just a propaganda psyop. Uh, what about the time period? And this one image that keeps on coming up is different buildings say that it's like it was built, and it's like a modern build, somewhat modern building, a Tartarian structure that was built in like 756 or 896 or something like that. And then they put a one next to it, or there's a J next to it. And so people are like, oh, that was built in 1756 or 1956. And so I was wondering, you know, if let's say it's not 2025, but I guess it would be 1125. So it would be then 1,000 years and 1,025 years since the victory of Lord Jesus Christ on the cross, as opposed to 2,000 years. And I don't know my eschatology about this specifically. Were we told that we got 2,000 years after Jesus Christ? In this church age of grace, were we told how long this time would be? Because this is the mystery. It wasn't prophesied. So, you know, and I have a feeling we weren't told, it's going to be 1,000 years or 2,000 years or whatever. So I just think it's interesting to wonder if it's really 2025. Could it be the year 1125? And what does that mean if we're only 1,000 years away from the victory of Lord Jesus Christ, our living God? Lord Jesus Christ is victorious, alive. He died, was buried, and resurrected. He's God incarnate. And I think, and I wondered in terms of like the timeline, because there's a lot of timelines about the Bible, like what day in the Bible are we in? So I think, according to the Clarence Larkin, if you're a big Bible study person, you've probably seen or heard somebody talk about the Clarence Larkin, and you could just his stuff is online. So he has these wonderful, very helpful graphs, and so if we are in I think the sixth day. Okay, so that's, or I mean, we could be in just the real final part of the sixth day. Yeah, because let's say, we don't know exactly when Jesus, when he was born, what year, but if he was 33, then, so it could be something happens in 7 years, or if I got my math right, like at the very least. And I know a lot of people they get distracted by stuff that happened during World War II and a new nation that was established. The thing is, we are in the church age of grace. So that other group that was featured prominently in the Old Testament, this isn't their time. This is the church age of the Gentiles. God scattered that group because they kept on rejecting it, killed God. Anyway, but there's just something about Christians. It's like, and I wonder if it's actually superstition. Because when you first read Genesis, it says that whoever curses the Jews is cursed. The thing is, who's the Semite? So what's a Semite? A Semite genetically are the Arabs in Gaza. So these Christians that are like, oh, I gotta support the Jews no matter what. Well, number one, the Israelis are not. They're not Semites. They're from Iraq, Ukraine. So the genetic Semites are these pagan Muslim people in Gaza. Just like just like the Hebrews did, they rejected their God and they entertain these demon gods. So I mean, I you know I think like it's not good for the West to be around the genetic Semites. Sorry, because the genetic Semites are just like, we have to do a human sacrifice because they're Luciferian worshippers. Like they they're incestors, they're bestialityists. So I just think like, okay, you got to work something out in your thing. I'll share the gospel, but I certainly don't want that close to my reality or my loved ones. Um, so I'm not like cursing them, and I'm sharing the gospel, um, you know, without getting decapitated with whoever, And I'm sure, I mean, there's plenty of Jewish people. It's weird because it's like there's people who hate Jewish people. There's people who love the the Muslims. And if you say anything about Christianity, like everybody hates your guts. Anyway, sorry for the distraction. So my point is that so it might be the year 1125 instead of 2025 because for some reason the people who manipulated history, who hid our history, who hid our technology and all the good things, for some reason they made it 1,000 years ahead of what it really is. So so if that's the case, if we have like if we've just gotten out of like the fifth day, because so every day, and I'm just thinking out loud here in case anybody else might find it helpful. And if you have any other perspectives on the biblical days as it applies to our living through it, please share in the comments. So this is not a prepared, lecture or whatever. So I'm just thinking out loud. So according to Clarence Larkin, Eden was 4,000 years ago. No, 4,000. I'm sorry. Like it's like 4,000 BC. Okay, so so Eden was 4,000 BC. Enoch was 3,000 BC. Abraham was 2,000 BC. Solomon was 1,000 BC. Okay, so King Solomon was the son of David. Okay, and then Christ arrived at 0, 8 or 180. So from 180, where we just exited the fifth day, if this thing about the 1,000 years added, so then we're in that fifth day, or after, so we're at the beginning of the sixth day. So most people think that we are at the end of the sixth day, but we might actually be at the beginning of the sixth day. So in this diagram, it's, it has like 1,000 years AD, and then it has the Antichrist coming at 2000 AD. So it would be really interesting. I mean, so does that mean we have 1,000 more years before it's possible for the rapture to occur? That would really be really hard to take. But I'm wondering, and does it somehow make sense? Um, I mean, the one thing I could see why we need another 1,000 years is because so many people are very, very lost. Like there's a way of looking at the days of of human history in terms of the church ages. I don't know if it's like I did a screen capture. I don't know if I'm reading it right, but I got the impression that so it was from a Bible study by Pastor Breaker, Revelation 3:7-22, the churches of Philadelphia and Laodicea. Okay, so that's the name of the Bible study, and it's Pastor Breaker. So it's Pastor Breaker, Robert Breaker, his Bible study channel. So 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 let's say 33 before. So 33 AD was the Ephesus church. Okay, so it's not doing. So he breaks it up into the church age. So if we were, so there's Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamo, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. So if we're following this idea, then we are in the Sardis, the time of the dead church, and then the time of Philadelphia would occur, because we're if this interpretation of Tartaria and everything is correct, and if we're in the year 1125, we would be in the dead church time, which does seem like that. So I don't know. I'm just asking, and it's a very esoteric question. So because just not a lot of Bible believers have been studying the Tartaria information, and I mean like King James only sincere Bible believers, 1 Corinthians 15:1-4, and Romans 3:25-28. You believe you're saved by believing on the death, burial, and resurrection, and the shed blood of Lord Jesus Christ. So I'm just wondering if anybody else has had any thoughts on this. And the thing is, we don't know the mind of God. And even if we have another 1,000 years before the rapture, um, God can do anything. And reality is like we can't predict the future. I certainly would never have predicted where I am now 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So, like, I certainly would like it if the rapture was about to happen like tomorrow, because things are so crazy. And yet, most people don't know Jesus, even Christians. They're just cultural Christians, they're moral atheists. And it's really tragic, because Satan has been very effective in making Jesus seem like such a bad thing, or yeah, just a bad thing. People are like, "Oh, Jesus is so uncool," or "Jesus is so boring," and they're not realizing that it's their eternal soul that's at risk. So just like look into it in your own way. Like that's the thing. I think people are like, oh, it's going to be really boring and torturous to try to look at the Bible and understand it. And the thing is, like, there's no excuse nowadays. Like people are learning difficult languages online. They're learning how to code online. They're learning how to do fancy makeup or whatever, do it yourself crafts kind of thing online or from a library book or something like that. Like, there's no excuse nowadays because there's so many talented teachers. I'm sure there's some really interesting people that are sharing about the Bible. And I would recommend the ones that I like are Pastor Robert Breaker and Marian Manly, whose channel is Salvation, Rightly Dividing, and the Rapture, I think, is her channel. And I also like some of Pastor Jean Kim's Bible studies as well. So, yeah, I don't know if this really means anything, like, if we are 1,000 years earlier than we thought we were. And I do think people need to rightly divide that instead of like everybody, like that country in the Middle East is such a stumbling block for Christians because we are in the church age of grace. We are in this age of mystery. Like, we are in the time of the Gentiles when the Jews are supposed to be scattered. Like, Jews are scattered because they rejected God. They killed God. They got the Romans to kill God. And like Clarence Larkin, it's even in his diagrams, and a lot of very good Bible study teachers, they just overlook it. So we're in the day of salvation of the church, the ecclesiastical dispensation to the nations, and let's see, we're in the time of the Gentile, and so the Jews are scattered. They were dispersed. Trying to find the actual term. Okay, so we're in the but now time, like the before the New Testament, or before Jesus Christ is the time past. We're in the time now, the but now time. But of course, I misplaced. Like, I didn't see where I had. Oh, it's probably on the other side. Well, I just am trying to find because the Jews are scattered. That's what is in this one of these diagrams of Clarence Larkin. So my point is, the reason why this is significant is because Christians need to stop being so caught up in the whole Jewish question. So we are in the ecclesiastical dispensation of grace. We are in the kingdom in mystery. We are the kingdom in mystery. And this is the time of the fullness of the Gentiles that's supposed to develop with the sharing of the gospel. And so the Jews are scattered among the nations. So what is scattered among the nations? Does it mean that they're in the middle? They're all congregated in the Middle East? No, they're scattered in amongst the nations. And so this is in the diagram of the church. And so if you look at where it says the nations, you see the Jews scattered among the nations. So, like, why are Christians saying there's Israel? Because it's not biblical. Like, It's not biblical if you rightly divide. There's no Israel in this time period. There's going to be Israel when, like, afterwards. I'm not exactly sure when, but um, I mean, it's. I think it's the is it the tribulation period? I don't know, but right now is not. It has nothing to do with the Jews, other than them getting saved by the gospel. And I don't know why um, Christians are so confused about this. And because, okay, let's take that Middle Eastern country out of here. So if that wasn't there, like, I think that would be such a that would like, it would free up some intellectual energy or some emotional energy from Christians, and the whole, like, World War II thing. Like, if that all wasn't real, and it wasn't. I mean, that's the thing. There's just all this hoax, false flag kind of thing. I mean, 35 million ethnic Germans were genocided during World War II and raped and whatever. And everybody's like, oh, well, that's good. That should happen because white people should be genocided. Even though white people are a minority. I mean, like, I never wanted to have children because I was like, I'm not bringing something vulnerable into this horrible world. And clearly other females of all demographics are like that, except for certain ones that have, like, they're like, okay, I'm going to get my welfare check and just work the system. So yeah, I think we need to really extricate ourselves from the mainstream narrative in terms of history and in terms of what our beloved pastors think, because we've got to rightly divide the Bible regardless of how great our pastor is. If they're being erroneous, we have to follow the Bible. So I don't know. Anyway, like, this is the main part of this is just like, what if it is the year 1125? What does that mean? And if that's accurate, like, does that mean we have to wait 1,000 more years? And if so, how to do that? And if not, always look up, because our redemption draws near. So, anyways, thanks for watching, and any thoughts you might have on this, kindly, please be nice. Okay, thanks for watching. God bless.